Chief, would you lead us in the pledge, please?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Victor, would you lead us in prayer, please?
Father God in heaven, we come to you today in the mighty name of Jesus. God, we want to thank you for everything that you're doing here, everything in the city of Monte Vista and throughout the San Luis Valley. God, we ask that your will prevail today, God, above all things. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
While you're all still standing, a member of our community has passed away, Bob Brining, who brought a lot to this community and was involved in a lot. So I would like for us to take a few minutes or a few seconds of silence for him, please. Okay, everybody be seated, please. Nita, roll call, please.
Counselor Foster.
Present.
Counselor Locke.
Here.
Counselor Lorenz.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Segula.
Here.
Mayor Becker.
Here.
A quorum is declared.
Any modifications to the agenda?
No, sir.
Okay, approval of the consent agenda for minutes of regular meeting November 4th, 2021. Review and approval of accounts payable.
I would move to approve the consent agenda.
Second. It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda, the minutes regular meeting of November 4th, 2021, and review and approval of accounts payable. Is there any more discussion? Anita?
Counselor Locke.
Aye.
Counselor Foster.
Aye.
Counselor Lorenz.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Segula.
Aye.
Mayor Becker.
Aye.
Motion carries to approve the consent agenda.
Proclamations, communications, and appointments. Introduction of the event center manager.
Come on up, Stephanie.
Drum roll.
It's my pleasure to be introduced to council and to the community. Stephanie Roybal, she's going to be our new event center manager. She'll be managing Sky High Complex once we get it completely finished and built. So she'll be the one that will be doing all the scheduling and everything. So I'll let Stephanie. Stephanie is a local girl from up here in the valley from Lahara, so I'm going to let her talk a little bit about herself. So go ahead, Steph.
Thank you. So as Chief said, I did grow up in the valley. I grew up in Lahara. My dad is from Lahara. My mom's from Monte Vista, so I have roots in Monte here as well. I did leave town to go to school in Gunnison at Western, but you know, the valley has a strong pull, so you come back home. I'm really excited to get going on the Sky High Complex and bring in a ton of new events as well as support the events that have already been going on here for years.
Good, welcome,
Thank
Stephanie.
you.
We expect really big things.
Thank you.
No pressure.
Tomorrow.
I know.
Really big building to do really big things, all right?
Exactly.
All right. Citizen comments and special presentations have scheduled appearances. To be on this portion of the agenda, you have to fill out the appropriate paperwork and have to the city clerk no later than noon on Monday prior to the meeting. So the first one is IT Intergovernmental Agreement.
So in your packet is a intergovernmental agreement between City of Monte Vista and City of Alamosa for IT services. I think we've been using Alamosa's IT services for like the last 5 years. So this is just a continuation of that. We just need to sign a new agreement to continue to use Jim and his crew as our IT services for the city. So I just need, really all I need is a motion to approve the IGA and then to give the city manager, i.e. Gigi Dennis, on December 2nd, the authority to sign this agreement. As you know, I've got 11 days left in this gig, so I'm ready to go back to cops and robbers. So I just need, it's in your packet, the IG is in there. It explains, it's pretty much identical. It's a 3-year agreement to continue to use Alamosa's IT services. And they've, as you guys know, they've been absolutely awesome, and they do such a great job with IT. As I've told you many times, I came from the state, and our IT service was less than adequate. I've been here a year and a half, and the IT service that they provide is absolutely incredible. Come to work every day, turn on my computer, my phone, everything works. There's no issues with it. So I would recommend that you approve the IGA and give the city manager authority to sign it.
Make a motion to approve the intergovernmental agreement for the IT department from City of Alamosa to the City of Monte Vista.
Second.
Been moved and seconded, and we gotta put in there to have December 2nd. So
Oh, and to give Gigi Dennis authorization to sign it on December 2nd when she takes office.
Still seconded.
it's been moved and seconded to approve the IT intergovernmental agreement between Monte Vista and Alamosa with Gigi Dennis to sign on December 2nd. Is there any more discussion? Unita?
Counselor Foster?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Segola?
Aye.
Counselor Locke?
Aye.
Counselor Lorenz?
Aye.
Mayor Becker?
Aye.
Motion carries to approve the IGA for IT.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thanks, Chief. Thank you, guys. Golf course update.
I don't know how many of you guys up there know me. My name's Austin Ersing. I got on the board last year at the golf course, and I'm here in place of Jake Malott. But give you guys an update on the golf course this last year. Everything went good. The course ran well. The course made money. The course is self-sufficient now. It works good. I don't have all the exact numbers of how many rounds have been played, but I will get those for the next meeting and bring them to you guys and let you know. But I'm guessing it was upwards of right around 5,000 to 6,000 rounds of golf played this summer out of everybody, which is double. And our last year we had 107 members. This year we had 152 members. So the golf course come along a long ways. We have all new management, all new employees on the golf course. It took very good care of it this year. And I didn't hear many complaints about the golf course. The only problem we had was the nets. They didn't stop all the golf balls that they were supposed to. But other than that, the golf course is doing good. They have just, it's come a long ways from what I've heard in the past. A couple years ago, it didn't do so good. And last year was a good turn, and this year was, in my opinion, twice as good. It's come a long ways. And I'll get you guys all the numbers you guys possibly want and need for the rounds and how many members and everything else we need to get you guys too.
Anybody else have any questions for Austin?
How much was the golf course asking for?
$40,000.
40,000?
40,000 this year? Yeah, this year's we asked for 4. So 2 years ago we asked for 5. And prior to that we never asked for any, never got any. And this last year we asked for 30. We got 30. We were able to purchase some new mowers and new equipment to keep the golf course up to date. So this year we're asking for 40, but it's not going to the golf course. This 40,000 that we asked for, we want to put up some new pro shop buildings because those buildings, one of them's condemned and we can't use it right now as it is. It's kind of an eyesore. So, and not just $40,000 from you guys, we're also going to try to match the $40,000 because we're able to do that because the golf course did so well. So we're going to put our own money with you guys to tear down the old building in the process of putting up new buildings. So it's not such an eyesore anymore and up development at the golf course. So it's a lot better place and a little better, I don't know, commodities, I guess, for all the community to come and play with. That's what all the 40,000 is going for. It's not going for equipment, no maintenance wise. It's just for the buildings.
Have you checked out any other funding opportunities, grants, anything?
Well,
I don't know if there are any available. I'm asking if you have.
no, we haven't checked on them for the golf course part, but no, if there's any extra ones. No, we have not.
Okay. All right. That might be something you want to look at just to see
Yeah.
if there's some free money out there
Mm-hmm.
that might help you.
That'll work.
That's all I have. Only questions I have.
I know it probably hasn't been done yet, cause I know we haven't got into, demolition on the building, but we'll have to go through all the proper channels of asbestos and all that.
Oh, it's bad, yeah, because it was condemned last year, we weren't allowed to use it at all. And the pro shop's right next, like, in the foundation of the pro shop, the main pro shop we use, which is to be the east building, the west building was one condemned. But that east building now, the foundation of it's shifting, so there's cracks on the floorboards behind the coolers and stuff that are 1 inch to 2 inches, because it's all swelling and it's all settling. And it's an old building.
So in this building, Austin, are you guys looking at like the pro shop and having that kind of a?
So the way prices are going in the world and the economy is, there's no way that we could even manage that within the next couple of years. But what we want to do is just the pro shop itself right now. Make that, get rid of that nasty old building, because it's just there. And I, in my opinion, I personally like to tear out the tennis courts and, you know, make that a spot where we can put all the cart sheds and have new buildings there eventually. And not just on the city's dime, we're all willing to put our own money into it too, because it's going to be an asset to the city. It's all still city owned. All the money, so basically all the money we make goes back basically to the city and the golf course and the community. So that building itself just needs to come down. We're just focusing on that main pro shop building is all it is.
You're just tearing it down at this point, you're not.
We want to get rid of the other one first, and then process to work on that. So if we can make some updates right now to make it last, if we can, because I know the price of metal right now is skyrocketing. I know a 4x8 sheet of 1/2 inch steel is $1,700, which is 15-20% higher than it has been last year, and it's just only going to go up from there. So right now, if we can get rid of the one building, or even just make updates to the other ones, so we can keep it up to code, so we don't get shut down in that building and not be able to use it at all, is what our worry is on the whole thing. Because it's coming. It's going to be pretty quick.
Sorry, water bottle just knocked over with my behind.
Any other questions?
Anybody else have questions for me? Okay, thank you, Austin. On the next report, bring all those numbers.
Yeah, I have all the numbers. I'd like to see more of you city councilmen out there also. Give it a try.
Give me your disc basket and I'll be there.
Okay, at this time, we'll take citizen comments. We welcome your unscheduled comments. Limit them to 3 minutes, and we will not take action at this meeting. And be sure and sign your name in when you come up to talk.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
just quick note, if they're making comments about the public hearing, they need to wait till the public hearing time.
Okay.
Not really. Oh crap, sorry. My name is Raina Boucher, and I want to make one clarification and correction from my presentation last week. In reading through the minutes again for the meeting that was on March 21st of 2019, I incorrectly stated that Kathy Ellithorpe made the motion. That is wrong. Councilor Johnson made the motion. Councilor Ellithorpe seconded it. All the other information I gave about Councilor Ellithorpe saying that there were no inquiries, feels that it should be approved, all the other things that she had said, those remain correct, but I did want to clarify that Councilor Johnson made the motion to approve the addendum. Councilor Ellithorpe seconded, not made the motion. That's all I have.
Thank you. Any other citizen comments outside of the public hearing? Okay, we will go on with the public hearing. Mr. Trujillo?
Okay, we'll open up the public hearing
request to purchase 720 First Avenue, known as the Guzlo Building, but Brandon tells me it's something different. But I'm gonna call it the Guzlo Building, because that's the only way I know how to pronounce it. The hearing comes up for, pursuant to public notice about the sale of this building. And so I'm going to go through and present some exhibits that we have that have been presented to us. And then it will probably go to folks that are in favor of the sale of the building. And then potentially those folks that are not in favor of it, or anyone that may wish to comment either way. And I'm gonna comment on some of the exhibits as we go. I mean, there may have been errors made in the past, I don't know, but you know, I think hindsight's gonna be pretty good in this case, but it looks to me like we've got some issues that have come up. We'll try and address them. I think the bottom line for citizens here is that any agreement to purchase this building is subject to the city charter. And the city charter gives the city and the city council the right to accept offers, reject offers, not sell the building at all. That's what this council and its charter allows it to do today. So there's been some idea that nobody had a chance to buy this building. Well, tonight is a public hearing. If somebody wants to buy the building, they can make proposals. Mr. Pacheco's got a proposal on the table, and that's exactly what I think he has today. But that doesn't mean other proposals can't come up. So I'm gonna try and go through these exhibits one by one and comment on them where I think they need to be, just so that we've got somewhat of an understanding of the history on this and where we're going, what happened, why the council did things, and then we'll try and make some sense out of this at the end of this hearing. So I'll start with the exhibits I'm gonna present here, and a lot of them Anita put together exhibits here in a pretty nice, organized way, so thank you for doing that, Anita. All right, so the first thing that we'll make a part of the record is the resolution to lease the properties. And that was done on May 3rd of 2018, and it was with Local Business Assist. And we start out with a couple-year lease, and then eventually that lease gets amended to a couple more years. But that resolution to lease the buildings, not an issue probably. And just so, let me go back one other point. We have had sales of other properties, and I think Mr. Douglas ended up purchasing one of those, and the ambulance, the Nazarene Church bought another one. Well, we went through public hearings on those two buildings, and there apparently was nobody interested in that, so those got sold pursuant to the best, I guess, the people could, that those could be sold for. We had appraisals on them, and so that's the requirement of the city charter, is to have an appraisal of the building so that it doesn't get sold for under market value. So there have been hearings in the past. That's what we have to do. That's what we're doing tonight, okay? So Exhibit A is the resolution that initially approved the lease of those buildings. Exhibit B, which will make a part of the record, is the actual lease with Business Assist. And there, Mr. Douglas leased this building, I believe, in the Valley Publishing building. That'll be made a part of the record. Exhibit C was an addendum that was done up, and that addendum was signed, it looks like, in March of 22nd of 2019. And basically, that addendum increased the lease to a 2-year period. It allowed Mr. Douglas to sublet the building, because the original lease, there was a prohibition against subleasing the building unless he got the okay of the city. So the city allowed him to sublet as part of this agreement. And eventually his lease was assigned to one of his other businesses, and then eventually assigned to Mr. Pacheco. I could find no documentation that approved that, and maybe he has some information he can shed some light on, but that apparently never got done. The lease addendum provided that the tenant was contemplating a sale of the property with it being appraised. The addendum provided that there was an option to purchase in the original lease, but there was not an option to purchase in the original lease. So I guess what do we have here? We have someone that's contemplating trying to buy the building for appraised value. And everything that we're doing here, in my opinion, is subject to our charter, which says you have to have a public hearing and the city can reject bids, accept them, not approve the sale. So any addendum, any lease, in my opinion, is subject to the city charter. And so what I think Mr. Pacheco has is a right to present a proposal, which he has done, and that's why we're here tonight. And it's for appraised value, so he's got at least those conditions of our charter, having been met. Exhibit D is the minutes of a city council meeting April 4th, and that basically approved the lease and the addendum. And it was interesting to note, this Guzlo building gets a little bit more complicated than the ordinary piece of property owned by the city, because in these minutes, the city manager indicated that the publishing building could be sold, but not the Guzlo building. And the thought at this time was that because it had been used as a public building at some point, that it had to go to a vote of the people before it could be sold. Well, this is about the time I'm coming on board as city manager, so the city manager asked me to do some research and figure out whether you had to go through an election in order to sell the Guzlo building. I did some research. I provided an opinion to this council, I don't know, maybe a year or two, I don't know exactly when I did that, but the research that I found indicated, and I cited some Supreme Court cases here in Colorado, was that if you abandon the use of the building, then it could be sold just like any other piece of property. And at that time, the building had been empty or had been not being used as a police station for over 10 years. So in my opinion, the public use of that building had been abandoned. If you wanted to sell City Hall, it's a public building being used, so you'd have to have an election, but not on the Guzlo building. So But at this time, at least the city manager and the council were of the opinion, we probably can't sell that building till we have an election. So even though the addendum was approved contemplating a sale, it's again still subject to our city charter. Exhibit E is an appraisal from Monte Mullins. It's dated May of 2019, and he appraised the property at that point at $65,000. So that'll be made a part of the record here. Exhibit F is a resolution 2021-6, which basically gives city manager authority to sign contracts. Exhibit G is a letter from Wayne Pacheco addressing the city council and with basically his intent to purchase the building at $65,000 and that he has the funds available. And in the letter he says, I understand this must go before the city council. And basically, I'm not sure if he understood exactly what had to be done, but it had to go before city council, but it certainly would have to go for a public hearing, but you start with city council and then they set the public hearing for tonight. Exhibit H is a commercial lease agreement between Valley View Services and Wayne Pacheco, kind of assigning business assist agreement to Wayne Pacheco. And I guess as a technicality, it never really got approved by the council in any written form at least. But I think that may be the lease that Mr. Pacheco's relying on to make his request to purchase the building today. That'll be made a part of the record. Exhibit I is basically that letter to all property owners within a certain distance that this is being requested by Mr. Pacheco and there's going to be a public hearing, and if you want to come forth and state an opinion or do whatever, there's a public hearing going on. And that was what, 300 feet?
Within 300.
Okay. All owners of businesses within 300 feet or buildings. Exhibit J, a letter from Craig Barlow. It looks like it's not very good, but it looks like he's saying, I think it's okay to sell to Mr. Pacheco. He doesn't have any problem with that. Exhibit K is bidding and purchasing policies of the city of Monte Vista. And I'm just going to spend a little bit of time on this. There's several pages of it, and it talks about, you know, RFPs if you want to sell or maybe purchase personal property. And there's a big difference between personal property and real estate. Tonight, we're dealing with real estate. If the city wanted to buy a copier, for example, or sell a copier, then you have to go through different procedures, do RFPs, and a little bit more complicated on the personal property. The bidding and purchasing policy for real estate basically is what the charter says. And I'll read that to everybody so that everybody's kind of clear on that. But difference between personal property and real estate in terms of how it's sold by the city. That'll be made a part of the record. Exhibit L is the sale of city property, and this is right directly from our charter. I'm just going to read it because it's fairly short. any sale of real estate shall occur only after public hearing in accordance with the requirements of the city charter. An appraisal by a qualified real estate appraiser shall be obtained prior to the sale and transfer of any city real estate. And no sale of city real estate shall be completed at less than its appraised value unless the city council determines by resolution that such real estate cannot be sold for its appraised value. The city reserves the right to reject any bid or proposal to purchase real estate owned by the city. So, again, this is Exhibit L, this is our charter provision. Any contract the city enters into for the sale of real estate is subject, in my opinion, to this charter. So, so why have a public hearing? Well, one of the things you want to do is, if people are interested in this property, they can come forward and make proposals to purchase it. I think there's a bit of a notion out there that the city is got some kind of contract with Mr. Pacheco or Mr. Douglas, and therefore we rubber stamp that agreement and off we go. Not the way it works. When you have a public hearing, it's for the purpose of anybody out there that wants to make a bid or a proposal can do so. So that the idea of a public hearing in a way is to try and get the highest price you can for any real estate that the city wants to sell. And so people can make proposals tonight, say, hey, I think I'm interested in it. All we have to do is have a public hearing before property is sold. When you have that public hearing is only before you sell. Nobody ever really requested a public hearing a couple years ago when these agreements were made. And part of the problem might have been that they thought you had to go through an election and that's gonna take a major event. So we're not gonna request it, but anybody could probably have, I don't know what it takes to have a city public hearing. Somebody can request it, and if the council decides to have one, boom, then we have one. Nobody really did that back a couple years ago, and probably on hindsight, might not have been a bad idea to have put that notion in the public's eye or view at that time and say, all right, this is what we're considering. We're not sure what we have to do. Do we have to go through an election? But we're interested in selling the building, so if anybody's interested, step forward. Well, nobody did that. And again, hindsight might have been a good idea. But the charter does not say you have to have one 2 years ago, a year from now. Today is the public hearing, and that's what is required for us to do before we sell any building. So, with that in mind, and with that bit of history, and I think what we'll do is open up the public hearing. And from a logical standpoint, I suppose we ought to hear from Mr. Pacheco, because he has got a proposal on the table, if you will. And it might be a good idea to start with him. And then we can figure out if people are in favor of it, if they want to make comments, if they were involved in it, they can make whatever statements they wish to. And if I feel like it's going too far afield from where we're headed, I'll probably try and interrupt you and push you along. So I think if you would come up to the podium and state your name for the record, and then tell us what you want to do.
Good evening, everybody. City and council members, Mayor Becker, Mr. Trujillo, City Manager Ms. Lounsbury to be. I had put together some notes with some speaking points, but Mr. Trujillo kind of guided us through a lot of stuff, and as you can imagine, just sitting here listening to that, as your average citizen, I don't have a law degree, nor am I think that the intent was all above board, and Mr. Douglas and myself, really, I think we proceeded with the best intentions and with what guidance we had from the city manager at that time and city council at that time. And we entered into agreements and contracts, putting our best foot forward. Wasn't looking for any kind of special treatment, no special deals, no sweetheart deals, nothing like that. When I spoke to Mr. Douglas, who was very instrumental in helping me, in regards to purchasing the building, what we both kind of came up with was, to be fair, we just wanted a fair deal. And I agreed, as did Mr. Douglas in his contract, that, if the contracts were not worth the paper they were written on, I'm not sure that's really our fault. I mean, we were going based on what we thought was proper etiquette at the time. I agreed to purchase the building from, I contracted with Ron to buy his right to purchase the building, as we understood it, that he had the right to buy the building in the contract that he had signed. Didn't ask for anything special. We weren't looking for a cut rate or anything else. The building had been vacant for, as Mr. Trujillo said, around a decade. It was in a pretty bad state of disrepair. It was not inhabitable. It was not functional for any kind of business. Since being in there, I personally have spent, I'd have to go through notes and dig through notes to see how many man hours of cleaning, moving, arranging. It's been a nightmare. The roof leaked, the electrical and half the building didn't work. Plumbing, there's no heat in there, the boiler didn't work. I've spent to date at least $30,000 of my own money. But I did that based on what I thought we had was a legit contract to purchase the building for the appraised value. I don't know, I'm just a simple guy. Had I known that 2 years from that point, I would be here in front of you asking permission to please sell me the building, I don't think I would have spent $30,000. I don't think I would have invested that much of my own personal time and effort to go through all this. So really what I'm asking is not for anything special, not for any sweetheart deals or anything like that. I'm here requesting to purchase the building for the appraised value. That's all I'm asking for, and I'm asking you guys to support me. I think one thing to note, I am a local resident. I am a Valley native. I was born in this building when it was a hospital. It doesn't get much more native than that. I've provided assistance to many people in the community, to organizations, schools, fundraisers. Even before I moved back home, I was doing that. And I'm just asking you tonight, support me a little bit, give some of that back in the sense that allow me the opportunity to continue doing what I'm doing. It'd be a shame if we just bang our heads against the walls tonight and the building remains empty, I'm out $30,000, and there's another empty building in Monte Vista and another lost business. I think that'd be horrible. I don't think that's the path that we should be going down. That's my opinion. With that in mind, I just thank you for hearing me out, and I hope you make the right decision. Thank you.
Mr. Pacheco, just one question. Now,
Yes, sir.
when you say you're ready to purchase, you have money available as
Cash, yes, sir. I've been sitting on it for 2 years, which that's another thing. Anybody that knows anything about financing, to have that $65,000 cash on hand, I could have had it invested in other areas and made money on that money. But because I wasn't sure when we were gonna do this and I needed to have those funds available, I've been sitting on it. So that's another kind of kick in the pants that I've taken. But yes, have cash available.
Thank you.
We can go to closing right now if you can get them to open it up.
Okay. Does the council have any questions of Mr. Pacheco before we run in? Okay,
You answered the one I had, so good. Thank you.
thank you. All right, is there anyone that wishes to speak in favor of the sale to Mr. Pacheco? You wanna state your name, please, for the record?
As most of you know, I'm Scott Deacon. I'm the Rio Grande County Commissioner, one of them. I was born and raised in Monte Vista. I've seen changes come and go. We were in a downfall for a long time. I see it reviving now, and I've been pushing the businesses on my Facebook lately. A lot of you probably see it. I have 5,000 friends on Facebook all over the world, and I'm promoting Monte Vista. And for this, I just believe in my heart. I've known Wayne forever, and I toured that building before he took it over, and I would have took a track hoe in and took it out because it was a mess. I mean, ceiling panels falling, warped floors. It was terrible. And then I did some business dealings with him. I went in there and seen how he had modified everything and made it into a lucrative business. And I am totally in favor of him getting this building because, like he said, it'll be one less building that's empty in Monte, and I think he is on the cutting edge of what he does with his t-shirts, his wraps, and knowing Wayne, I mean, the sky's the limit with what he can do with this, and I'm totally in favor of this, and I think it would be a win-win for the city of Monte Vista. Thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak in favor?
You didn't sign in.
You'd state your name for the record.
Yes, my name is Ken Hamco. I live here in Monte Vista and also have business here in Monte Vista. And I just want to mention two things. The first, in a city meeting that I attend, not with council, but a different city meeting, we had a citizen show up for that meeting. And it was not an appropriate topic at that meeting because we were talking about something else. But their question to the commission was, why do we make it so hard for somebody to open a business in Monte Vista? And to me, I don't know all the details, legal stuff, whatever, who wants to buy it, et cetera, so forth, and all that. But why do we make it so hard? This gentleman here has a business in there. He's selling. He's generating sales tax. He's all set to buy the thing. And then we have citizens that want to stand in the way of that happening for whatever reason. So they could win something? I have no idea. I don't know the details of it. But I just say that if we're going to move forward in Monte Vista, we need to make it easier for people to want to have a business here and to have a business here. And that's my piece. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak in favor?
I'm Ron Douglas, and as probably most of you know, I really did not want to come here to this meeting tonight. but I felt like I needed to. When we originally, it's kind of funny because this is about 4 years ago that I stood right here in this very place and we put a deal together to help the economic development of downtown Monte Vista. You guys had 3 buildings at the time that were completely empty and in complete disrepair. Nobody wanted those buildings, And despite what some people will say, and despite what, they like to portray that I did something underhanded, we tried everything we could to get people into these buildings, but nobody wanted these buildings. And they had been empty, some of them for over a decade. I said, fine, I will take on the buildings. I will clean them up and I will get them ready to lease. That's the reason we had the addendum to lease. We did 3 buildings at the same time. We did the Guzlo building, we did the Valley Print building, and we did the ambulance base. And they all had the same contract. And of course, I had them say with the option to purchase. Why would I, or anybody that I put in those buildings, spend thousands of dollars getting them serviceable if they could not purchase them? So of course, I put in there that we leased these buildings for 3 years, I believe it was 3 years, with the option to purchase these buildings at the end of that lease. The goal with that, and what I presented to you guys, the council at the time, and Forrest, the city manager at the time, was, let me clean them up, let me get them presentable, let me find business owners that will take them over, and let's sell them to them at the appraised value. That's what we presented, that's what everybody understood, and that was the contracts that we wrote. All 3 contracts were exactly the same for all 3 buildings. We had no problems with the other 2 buildings getting them sold. And going through the process and following the guidelines that we had at the time. I don't understand why now we're having some problems. And it's been my understanding that word is out that people didn't have the opportunity to buy those buildings. Well, I assure you, many people had the opportunity to buy those buildings. And I've also given tours of those buildings. I did not hide the fact that I had a contract with the city or the option to purchase it. I did not hide the fact that I was willing to assign that to anybody that wanted to take it on. I did not want to buy the buildings. I wanted to get them filled. That was the goal. And so we've had people in here that have said that they didn't have opportunities. Everybody had an opportunity. I talked to all these people one-on-one. I talked to them in meetings. I've given tours of that building. And some of the biggest people that are griping about this had plenty of opportunities to buy the building, but they did not. They did not exercise it. I was more than happy to assign the option to purchase to anybody that wanted to take it. Wayne walked into that building after me trying to clean it up. It was a lot. I don't know what the square footage on that building is, but me and my boys, and I can attest to you, I got 4 boys and they're all hard workers. And we took dump loads of stuff out of that building, and piles of dirt, and rats bigger than cats, the dead rats, out of that building. Okay, that was not a habitable building at all. And people toured the building, nobody wanted it. Wayne took it on and cleaned it up and made it a great building, and it's working perfect for him. I don't understand why we're even having a problem, but I just wanted you guys to see it from my standpoint as somebody who kind of put this deal together. I was a little bit surprised to not actually have anybody seek my counsel on what happened or why this was going on or what the confusion was. And as far as the Valley View services versus LBA, LBA was Local Business Assist, which is what I signed a contract with you guys for, to help local businesses. Once you guys wanted me to get into the real estate business, I decided to do Valley View Services as more of the real estate, handling the real estate as far as property management. Because I didn't want LBA to sit there and try and collect rents from people and dealing with all that stuff. So I started a separate company that dealt with that, but they were pretty much both the same. I just didn't want there to be any confusion, and I wanted to make sure that everything was on the up and up and everybody saw that. So, does anybody have any questions about these dealings and how we put this together?
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak in favor?
Thank you.
You bet.
Is there anyone that wishes to speak in opposition?
My name is Raina Boucher. I spoke 2 weeks ago, and I guess first I'll address Mr. Hamco. It's not about winning. It's about two people who had talked to the city manager in February or March of 2018, and we both expressed that we wanted to buy the building. He said he would get back to us, and 2 months, 3 months later, Mr. Douglas had a lease on the building. It's about equal opportunity, and it's about people wanting to get ahead to plan for their retirement. We wanted to relocate our business there.
Ms. Bowser,
Yes.
address the council. He's
Oh,
not
I'm sorry.
council.
I'm sorry.
Address your comments to council.
Yes, I will. So as I've told you, it's not about that. And there were two people who came forward, Mr. Garcia and myself, and we were not. If we had an opportunity to purchase the building, we were never told that by anyone until tonight, when the city attorney just told us that. We have never been told that we could have given a proposal to the city. We were still under the impression that the lease held. We were probably uninformed, but somebody could have informed us about that, and we were never informed about that. This is not about not wanting Mr. Pacheco to own the building. This is about not having been told that we could, not been given a chance, and the minutes reflect in there that there had been two people, Forrest said it in 2019, that there had been two people who had come forward. We weren't given any chances to sign a lease. We weren't even responded to. He never got back to either one of us. And as far as Mr. Douglas saying that the leases were the same, I presented 2 weeks ago. Your city attorney just put this in the packet as one of the exhibits. The original lease for, and it is, Kate Shaw told me, the Golzo building, not the Guzlo building. The original lease in paragraph 5 stated he did not have the option to purchase. I presented it, it's in your packet tonight as evidence that it was not an equal contract. It did say, it was different than the other ones. It said he did not have an option to purchase. So all of this that came forward tonight, was this true when the building was originally leased? Did anybody say anything about this? I never heard it. This is probably the 5th or the 6th time I've addressed council. No one's ever gotten back to me. Nobody ever told me any of the stuff that was brought forward tonight. An RFP, here's the other thing, council. You are fiduciaries for this city. Your interest is what is best for the city, and part of that includes money. Had you gone out with RFPs on this, you would have had your appraisal done, said the appraisal's $65,000. You could have either had closed bids, sealed bids, whatever, or you could have had an open auction and people just bid, and the highest one takes it. That never happened. The city struggles for money. We hear it all the time. So where were you acting as a responsible fiduciary when you said, okay, we'll just sell it for this amount? And as far as Mr. Barlow's letter to the city, when Mr. Trujillo just presented it to you, I also read it in your agenda packet. I don't know if you've read it. It didn't just say he didn't have a problem with it. He did say he had one major concern, and that is that when you sell it for as low as it is, at $65,000, that would hurt the comps of other people selling their business in real estate. And you need to read and consider that that was also a legitimate concern of his. Of course we wanted to buy the building. It would not have been empty. Why would you make that kind of investment and leave it empty? As far as Mr. Douglas is concerned, he did take us through the building. I was reminded by Mr. Renshaw about a month ago that Mr. Douglas had told him that he offered to sell us the building. I didn't remember that. My initial response when Mr. Renshaw told me was, why would I make an agreement with Mr. Douglas to buy a building that he didn't own? And he certainly did not say he was acting on behalf of the city. That wasn't made clear. So really, if that was happening at that time, why would we make a contract? Why would we get into discussions with someone who didn't own the building? I mean, really, you know, am I going to come to any of you and you're going to try to sell me a car that belongs to someone else? No. So Mr. Douglas is right. He did take us through the building. And he may have said, I can make sure you get this building. I don't know if he did or not. He did take us through the building. But why would we negotiate with someone who didn't own the building? I'll tell you, this has been not okay. I like Wayne, I respect him, he's worked hard. And yes, he's gone in and he's worked on the building, made it livable, made it workable. But let me tell you about the amount of work that we put in when we bought our building 30 years ago. That's just normal. And if someone misled him into thinking that if he spent that kind of money, that he was guaranteed, and obviously he thought that at some point, and you're saying tonight that he doesn't, that's just another thing in all of this that shows you how wrong this has all been handled. I object to the sale of the building under these circumstances. As I said, there were two other parties who could have purchased the building and could have made it workable and put businesses in it. And yes, I believe that we both have the money. We're established business people. We've been here. I've spent my entire life here. I think the Garcias have also spent their entire lives here. I think we're credible business people. Thank you very much.
Anyone else wish to speak in opposition? Okay. Oh. Finale's a little older than you, so. Okay. No, you wanna go on? Please state your name.
For the record, Fernel Garcia, Mayor, Councilors, Mr. Trujillo, Acting City Manager, Miss Manager, new manager coming in. Not necessarily any comments right now, Mr. Trio, but a question that maybe we could clarify. How does the, should the appraised value have been indicated on any of the, public hearing notices that went out? I'm just asking because I want to be clear before I truly speak.
No, I don't think that's a requirement. I mean, the charter provides that any sale should be at appraised value, okay? But at a public hearing, that would be presented potentially, which it is tonight. We do have the appraisal for Monty Mullins. So, I mean, a public hearing is a bit of an open, not gonna say free-for-all, but anybody wanting to make proposals can do so. And I think it's somewhat unfortunate that things got to where they did over the years, and Mr. Pacheco probably thought he had an ironclad deal, and so he spends a bunch of money. That's unfortunate. That's not a good deal. You know, if I had to do it over again in hindsight, and we do have a piece of property that may come up for sale, I'm I'm gonna recommend we have it right away, have a public hearing right away, and maybe take sealed bids, see what happens. And then there's no, I could've had a chance, I didn't, and a lot of stuff went apparently through our manager's hands, and, you know, things, probably the ball got fumbled, I don't know. But I don't really think you have to have the appraised value or anything along those lines for the hearing per se, so.
Okay. Thank you. With that being said, Wayne's a friend of mine. I respect Wayne. We've been friends for a very, very long time. I'm not here to be the bad guy. I'm not here to do, I want him to be successful, right? I think policies and procedures need to be followed, should have been followed. Should have had an opportunity. We expressed interest. And the reason I ask, and I hope this does not happen to Wayne, I promise you I will not do it, but we know the bids are up there, right? I talked to Rain, I said, I can be that guy and come with $65,000 and $5, and I was hoping he'd be smarter than that and go $65,000, $10. Right? Let's be real, right? If we're gonna be honest and straight up about this, I don't think this whole thing is not fair. Because I could put a bid in right now, and then he'd have to counter, and then I'd counter, or however that process goes. That's why I'm asking Mr. Trio. But I hope anybody doesn't come in and just undercut you from this. I'm not gonna be that guy. I respect you, I want you to be successful. I don't like the way things have happened here. Right? You guys have a job to do your job. Thank you.
Don?
Supposed to sign this too?
Yes. And state your name for the record.
My name is Don Noland. I'm actually not speaking against sale of the building, but I wasn't speaking for sale of the building either. So that's why I guess come up at this time. Mine was just a concern about, again, how this was done. That, and it's my impression, but apparently not required, that sale of something that much or purchase of something that much should be on a bid basis to ensure that the town gets the best bang for its buck. And I don't know anywhere in this process that was done. But apparently you just have to have the hearing is what it says. If that's the case, then I guess, you know, it has been done in a proper manner. I guess the other thing I'd say then that, I mean, if somebody's gonna buy it, I mean, Wayne would be a logical one because he's been there and done some work on the place. But still, if that's not the best deal for the city, you know, it shouldn't be. But I would think that if it is sold at the appraised values at a 2-year-old appraisal, with real estate the way it is now, it should be a more current appraisal based on, I guess, when the proposal was made, not something 2 years prior to the proposal being made. That's all I'd have to say.
Thank you, Don. Anyone else wish to speak in opposition? Or speak at all?
Jim Boucher, just make some comments as well, just to kind of reinforce. Again, I don't think things were handled very well at all. Rita's done a lot of research on this and has verified a lot of the facts. So Again, Wayne's a great guy. I like Wayne, he's good. But, kind of like Don said, it really needs to be put out to everybody. Everybody in the city should have a chance. So, it just, again, going forward, I think it needs to be different. And, like Rita said, when we got our building, it was a mess. We had to put a lot of work into that thing. So, it's a good building, we're proud of it. Sure, we were looking at it because I think, a business on the main street is gonna have more exposure, it would be better for us. But, we're getting to the age where we're looking for retirement. This is a project we want to take on. Well, we could, and it would be a more sellable business than maybe where we're at now. So we're kind of looking at that as a future thing. So yeah, we were interested. But, again, we're we're not spring chickens like we were when we first got our building. So, but, anyway, just to reiterate that, going forward, I think it really needs to be, anything like this should be opened up to the whole town. Anybody who'd be interested. So, that's my comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Going, done. All right, close the public hearing and turn it back over to the council.
You guys have anything on that?
When they do an appraisal, how long does that appraisal usually last? How long is it valid for? Is there like specific time to that?
Normally good for 6 months to maybe a year.
A new appraisal might not be a fair appraisal because he's already put 30,000 in it. So the new appraisal would reflect that. That it would be very hard for me to ethically think, hey, it's fair for you to now pay a higher price because you put so much money into it already.
That would make it tough for
Yeah.
an appraiser. I mean, you can say, do it the way you saw it back then, but it's kind of like unringing the bell. You gotta look at everything and it looks better maybe. So it would be a little tougher to do it, but I'm sure Monty has pictures of what it looked like when he appraised it, so.
And that would be worse now had Mr. Pacheco not gone in there. Had it remained an empty, abandoned building, it'd just be 2 years worse. The rats would be bigger.
Do we have any, I have not heard anybody else express an interest in purchasing that. Is there any other bids or anything else that we have received regarding the property?
None.
Okay. I would so move that we sell the Guzlow building, or however you wish to pronounce it, to Wayne Pacheco for the appraised value of $65,000.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded to sell the Guzlo building to Wayne Pacheco for the $65,000. Is there any more discussion? Unita?
Mayor Pro Tem Segala,
Aye.
Councilor Lorenz,
Aye.
Councilor Locke,
Aye.
Councilor Foster,
Aye.
Mayor Becker.
Aye.
Motion carries to sell the Guzlo building to Wayne Pacheco for the appraised value of $65,000. Council, at the next meeting, we will have the ordinance for that sale for first reading, and then the following meeting, second reading.
Thank you, Unita. Okay, we'll move on to license liquor renewals. Tavern liquor license for the Pivot Public House LLC located at 201 Jefferson Street, Monte Vista.
Okay, technically would be a public hearing again. So,
I believe so.
Guys are working me pretty hard tonight, so this is a public hearing for a liquor license at 201 Jefferson by Justin DeForest. And he's requesting a tavern license. The business, it looks like, will be known as the Pivot Public House. And we have published in the paper, and we have posted the premises. And so at this point, we'll open the public hearing. And Anita, let's start out with you to generally give the council what's going on here, and then we'll call the applicant, Mr. DeForest.
Okay, the applicant, Mr. DeForest, came forward with the application for a retail liquor license application for a tavern, be called the Pivot Public House LLC. Notice was posted in the building. Letters were sent to everyone within 300 feet of that property. They have completed all state required licensing, and they have also completed their business license for the city of Monte Vista and state required licensing applications. They also have articles of incorporation, their certificate of good standing, and they have a commercial lease between themselves and so they purchased it, so they're doing a commercial lease between themselves and the Pivot Public House LLC, which is all in your packet. Staff has looked over it. They have met all the requirements. We have met all the publication requirements, and we're requesting approval on the liquor license.
Thank you, Anita. Is Justin DeForest here? Okay, if you would state your name and address for the record and kind of tell us what you're thinking of doing up there.
Yep, Justin DeForest. I live at 1107 County Road 25, Monte Vista. Lived there for about 3 years. Currently employed with the United States Forest Service for the last 25 years. I have federal service. I'm based out of the supervisor's office as a program manager. My partner, which is my wife, Danielle DeForest, works in the restaurant business. She currently works in Del Norte, and she's worked there for a couple of years and has been in the restaurant business for over 20 years.
So what type of restaurant are you thinking?
So the restaurant will be a locally sourced when available, small share plates specializing in lunch and early evening. So the liquor license would include craft cocktails, beer, and wine.
Would you have employees, do you think?
Starting out, originally 1 or 2, but depending on how successful we are, we'll try to manage that.
I mean, I would just alert you to make sure they understand the liquor laws and who you can sell to and how you.
Yep.
Check
So
IDs.
everybody would be fully qualified and fully certified within the state of Colorado.
Have you made improvements to the building?
So the building was purchased in July, and we were able to have it asbestos tested. It came back clear. We've gutted the whole building. So the building is ready to be, revamped inside. And that would include mechanical engineering plans that have already been established and approved. The architectural drawings are in hand, and so we're just waiting to see this last hurdle, and then start to make the improvements starting in December if passed.
Okay. I don't have any other questions. Does any of the members of the council have any questions for Mr. DeForest?
How soon would you plan on opening?
Depending on, we already have all the commercial kitchen and bar equipment, so we're looking at probably Memorial Day in June-ish. Just based off of getting the trades. We have some engineering engineering was done for the building, so we have some engineering upgrades that we want to take care of just to ensure that we'll have longevity of the building. So just trying to get those trades to get in there and do that. And then the rest of the plumbing would probably be the next big hurdle because of the sinks, the ADA compliance and everything like that. The building has only one water system, so it would have to have the whole subfloor, which is a cement, dug up and rerouted to put the bathrooms in, the bar appliances, and so that'll take some time.
All right, thank you. Is there anyone that wishes to speak for or against the application?
I would.
Okay. You wanna have a seat, Mr. DeForest? We'll let, you would state your name for the record.
My name is Starlin Cenas, and I have the bar and bowling alley located at 1020 2nd Avenue. I apologize for my voice. I've had a little bit of laryngitis going on lately. My concern with this would be their limited parking availability. On our block, we have the majority of the block, and we do have the parking area right there. The only parking that I am aware of at this time is the street parking on their side of the building. And my concern is our parking being used for basically a similar business as ours that involves alcohol consumption. And so that was all I wanted to say. It's just that about the parking.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, I guess we'll close the public hearing and turn it back over to the council.
Has this gone before the,
It's liquor, it doesn't have to go in front of P&Z.
No, the planning and zoning as far as the building.
No, you are the liquor authority board.
but as far as like planning and zoning, we don't
No.
have to,
No, a
for
restaurant,
restaurant-
the restaurant bar is a permitted use in a commercial business zone district.
I do understand that downtown parking has become more of an issue. Honestly, I think it's a great problem to have. And maybe we need to look at a way to solve that. Maybe there's some property we can use, I don't know. But public, now your parking lot, of course, is not public parking.
Correct.
But any of the sidewalk parking, that's public parking.
Right.
Anybody can park there, whether they're going to your establishment, his establishment, public library. Maybe they just wanna get a few extra steps in on their Fitbit, I don't know. The bottom line is, public parking is public parking.
Right.
I would absolutely understand if you wanted to protect your parking lot. But if I wanna go to his establishment for dinner or for drinks, and there's no parking for 3 blocks, I'm gonna park 3 blocks away and walk to it. That's just the way Monte Vista is, and right now, like I said, parking's becoming an issue. I have heard so many people outside of here bickering about, don't park in front of my business, or don't park in front of that, or, I'm gonna put up a no parking sign. Sorry, public parking's public parking.
Ms. Love, I'm not so much concerned about, say, if they were over there to have lunch or dinner or a cocktail or something. My concern is more the more than your drink with, more than a drink with your meal.
Starla, can we get you to go to the podium so we can pick you up,
Oh, I'm
please?
sorry.
That's okay, thank you so much.
But that is more of my problem. I know that we have the police come by our place quite often during the evenings. They just come in, they check in, and at that point, you know, they do go around the parking lots and stuff. So I just, for someone else to have a business where, say, if they had overserved them, and I am in no way saying that, but just if they were to be overserved and then they come into our parking lot to leave, that is where more of my concern is. Not just because they park across the street. I mean, we have the doctor's park there, the church parks there, the car shop people park there. So it has nothing to do with people parking there and going elsewhere. That is not our concern at all. Our concern is more after consumption of alcohol and then they go to our parking lot and leave from there. That is more what our concern is.
Or of a liability situation? Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
So, so the Pivot Public House is going to be more of a restaurant, or is that right?
Yep, it will have a commercial kitchen.
Okay, so like
It'll
also
have
a
place.
bar?
Yep, it'll have a bar.
Okay, just wanted to make sure it's clear.
I do understand your concerns, and I appreciate that. You're looking out for public safety.
And, I
Well,
mean, maybe it's not, we can't come to some type of an agreement with him. I just wanted to put that concern out there as it was approached to us by our landlords.
Okay. And I appreciate that, and I think he stated, that he will be fully trained, his staff will be fully trained into, you know, not over-serving. You know, will it never ever happen?
Right.
Who knows? But would it never ever happen at yours?
Exactly.
Would it never ever happen at Rain Brews, Quincy's, anywhere in town that serves alcohol?
Right.
Does it never ever happen? Who knows?
I guess my concern would be
That's why
that-
we have such a great police department
Right. So
to
would
help
their
out.
liability fall back on us? You know what I'm saying? So if, say, for example, if they overserved two people, the people came in, they got in our parking lot, left, whatever they were overserved, the cops stop them, is that gonna come back on us? Or but because they were served elsewhere, it would be on them?
Mr. Trio?
So, I mean, it would generally be wherever they were served,
Okay.
not where they were parking. Now, can there be confusion? I suppose, but, you know, if you were, somebody went out and ran over somebody and there was a litigation, you'd have to find out where they were, what was happening, talk to the bartenders, talk to the waitresses. Where were you? Where were you drinking? How many beers were you served? Or whatever at that establishment, so. Yeah, I suppose it can get confusing at points, but typically if it got serious, they would know where you were drinking.
I'll comment on that, having spent 25 years with State Patrol prior to here, and if having experienced that, I can't tell you one single time that we ever went and looked at where they parked. We always went and we would literally, and they still do this, we'd go and find out where they were drinking. We didn't care where they parked. We just went and literally would, like, if we knew they came from Monte Vista, there's only 3 bars, we would go to every single bar and say, hey, was this person in here? And that's where we would start. We didn't care where they parked. It had nothing to do with the parking.
Okay. That answers that question.
Thank you, Starla.
Thank you.
I would move to approve the tavern liquor license for the Pivot Public House LLC located at 201 Jefferson Street, Monte Vista, Colorado.
That's second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the tavern liquor license for the Pivot Public House LLC located at 201 Jefferson in Monte Vista, Colorado. Is there any more discussion? Anita?
Counselor Foster?
Aye.
Counselor Locke?
Aye.
Counselor Lorenz?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Segala?
Aye.
Mayor Becker?
Aye.
Motion carries to approve the liquor license for a tavern for the Pivot Public House LLC at 201 Jefferson.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Welcome to Monte Vista. Okay, we'll move on to ordinances. Final reading of ordinance 911, adopting a budget and appropriation sums of money for the city of Monte Vista, Colorado for the calendar year beginning January 1st, 2022 and ending December 31st, 2022.
Council, Mayor, we have the second reading of the proposed budget to adopt budget and appropriating sums of money for the city of Monte Vista for the calendar year beginning January 2022 and ending December 31. We've submitted the proposed budget to this governing body, and upon public notice, said proposed budget is open for has been open for public inspection. Would you like me to read through the dollar amounts for each individual department again?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. The estimated revenues for each fund are: the general fund is $3,904,916. Conservation Trust Fund at $45,000. Urban Renewal Authority at $105,550. Kids Connection Fund is $237,004. City Service Water Fund, $1,042,936. City Service Sewer Fund, $2,119,172. Capital Improvement Fund is $539,428. Capital Project Fund, $150,000. 1 cent Sales Tax Fund of $614,702,000. For total revenue of $8,758,708. The following, we have sums appropriated for each fund for expenditures. The general fund is $3,904,916. Conservation Trust Fund at $45,000. Urban Renewal Authority, $105,550. Kids Connection Fund, $237,004. City Service Water Fund, $1,150,783. City Service Sewer Fund, $2,360,657. Capital Improvement Fund, $465,712. Capital Project Fund, $150,000. The 1 cent Sales Tax Fund, $594,702. For total expenditures of $9,014,324. Did you have any questions about it? Any issues? If not, I would request your approval of the second reading of the ordinance 911.
I make a motion to approve ordinance 911, adopting a budget appropriation sums of money for the city of Monte Vista, Colorado for the calendar year January 1, 2022, and ending December 31st, 2022. On second and final reading.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve annual appropriation ordinance 911, adopting the budget and appropriating sums of money for the city of Monte Vista, Colorado for the calendar year beginning January 1st, 2022 and ending December 31st, 2022. Is there any more discussion?
Mr. Mayor, I move that line item 01-4510-4364, golf course, $40,000, be reduced to zero. I have a problem with the fact that we have a crumbling infrastructure. That is where we have streets that are used by people every day. I think the civil engineer told us that we had something like 10% of our, or it was like, I don't remember what the number was. A significant portion of our streets would be unusable in 5 years. I have a real problem. I realize that the buildings are in disrepair. I realize the buildings need to be knocked over. But we have roads that, and I realize $40,000 doesn't do much for a road, but I really think that we have better use for that money.
Point of order, there was a motion on the floor.
Yes. To approve the budget.
You need it?
What was that?
Yeah, we've already had a motion on the floor and you moved to take that out. So we have a motion on the floor to approve this, the budget on the second reading.
Okay, I will amend the motion to remove.
You can't amend it. There's a motion on the floor for the
Yeah,
budget to
we
be
are,
approved.
so your motion, you can't, you're gonna have to wait. Cause this is to approve the budget, and if that's the case, then we'll have to talk about that after this.
At that point, it's approved though, isn't it?
It is. So it either has to fail.
Excuse me?
Okay, okay. Mr. Mayor, I will speak against the motion at hand because I feel that spending $40,000 for the building of the golf course could be better spent on our crumbling infrastructure. If we want to spend $40,000 on a park, let's, sort of something, let's put money in Chapman Park where we can create a walking path that doesn't flood every time the sprinklers run, or, let's create something else for the kids to do. I mean, the skate park is used incredibly by our youth. Let's do something else for that. And so I would propose, I will speak against the motion for that reason.
Okay, have any more discussion?
I don't know where that 40,000 could be better used. But you did say that you've become more self-sufficient. Other avenues of looking for funding have not been explored. It's not that I am against supporting the golf course, because I think you've come a long way. I think it's great. But we've got $1 million difference here, right here. I mean, just right here, where our revenue is less than our expenditures. So, I mean, there's gotta be a lot more. We've either gotta increase revenue or make even more cuts. I would like to see the, I'd like to see the golf course explore other options first.
Can I say something?
But that's.
On $1 million difference.
It's only 300,000. 200 and some thousand.
And those are capital expenditures, at least a portion of, in the water fund.
Water and sewer.
Water fund is entirely capital expenditure. Sewer fund, unfortunately, our rates are insufficient there.
Excuse me?
Unfortunately, our rates are insufficient there because part of that is operations.
True, but we're still.
But that's rates,
like
and
I
that's
said,
an enterprise.
We're still $300,000 from, I said $1 million, but that's because I saw 8 and 9 and I just did it real quick. But it really is only about 300,000.
Yeah.
So that makes that 40,000 even more significant.
Well, that 40,000, the sewer fund is an enterprise unto itself. It has its own income stream. The 40,000 is coming out of the general fund. They're two different pots of money.
The general fund is listed here.
Yeah,
What
the
am I
40,000 is from the general fund.
Right.
The sewer fund's a separate fund. It's not from the general fund.
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. I get that. So the sewer funds.
So we need to look at sewer rates now.
We're gonna have to maybe do something about that too,
Yeah.
will that cover the entire shortage? And if it does, do we still want to put 40,000 where we may be able to find a grant, at least for part of that? That hasn't been tried yet. Those avenues have not been exhausted yet. That's, I just think that's something that ought to be looked at, try, and you know, we don't always get approved for grants. We just got to turn down for one. So we're, you know,
Well, it's not to say that they can't do that, and that can offset that. But right now, we've got the budget motion to approve it
right.
in second, so we need to go on with that motion. Unita?
Counselor Foster?
Nay.
Counselor Locke?
Nay.
Mayor Pro Tem Segola?
Aye.
Counselor Lorenz?
Aye.
Mayor Becker?
Aye.
Motion carries to approve Ordinance 911 for the 2022 budget with 2 nays and 3 yeses.
Thank you.
Thank you, Anita.
Thank you, Anita.
Thank you, Anita. Final reading of Ordinance 912, an ordinance approving intergovernmental agreements with the Colorado Attorney General to implement the Colorado opioid settlement.
There is no changes to that ordinance. It was read into record at the last meeting, and tonight is just second and final reading of the ordinance.
I would move to approve final reading of Ordinance 912, an ordinance approving intergovernmental agreements with the Colorado Attorney General to implement the Colorado opioid settlement. It's hard to say.
Seconded, good though. It's been moved and seconded to approve ordinance number 912, approving intergovernmental agreements with the Colorado Attorney General to implement the Colorado opioid settlement. Is there any more discussion? Unita?
Mayor Pro Tem Segola?
Aye.
Counselor Lorenz?
Aye.
Counselor Foster?
Aye.
Counselor Locke?
Aye.
Mayor Becker?
Aye.
Motion carries to approve Ordinance 912, the opioid IGA.
Okay. Anita? Receive and approve financial reports.
Council, Mayor, I know it's been a long night, I'll make this fast. I like to be able to present the financials to you though, timely, so I'll just read through it fast. We finished the month of October. As of October, 31.83% of the fiscal year has elapsed. Total revenue for the general fund is at 57% of the approved budget, or $3,078,715. The largest source of revenue continues to be taxes at $2,331,701. They have increased by 12% over this same time last year in October. And that's been pretty consistent the last few months, that percentage. The expenditures in the general fund are at 46% of the approved budget, or $2,483,097. As of the month end, the general fund's portion of cash in the main checking account is $2,069,248. That's an increase of 57% since December of 2020. Revenues have exceeded expenditures in the general fund by $595,618. for a total fund balance now of $2,637,932, from $2,042,314 at the end of December. It's an increase of 23% since December, and the number of months of operating expenses in the unassigned fund balance at month end is 8.92 months. And I, talking with you last time, and how, I did check in with the auditor, how he calculated it, and I'm sticking with my calculation using budgeted numbers, because I think if something happened, you would be going, using, what you budget at, not your excess or the goods. So I'm gonna stick with my calculation, if that's all right with everybody. The water fund, the total revenue in the water fund is at 98% of the approved budget, or $998,778. Total expenditures are at 70%, or $893,000. As of the month end, the water fund's portion of cash is $302,000. Revenues have exceeded expenditures by $105,000, which brought their fund balance to $1,931,588. The total revenue in the sewer fund is at 86% of the approved budget, or $860,000. Expenditures are at 45%, or $739,000. So as at the month end, the portion of cash in the checking account for the sewer fund is $294,000. Revenues exceeded the expenditures by $120,733, which brought the fund balance to $4,271,813. And so in the packet that was sent to you, there is more detail regarding the other programs. So if you have any questions or discussion, otherwise I would ask that you approve my financial report.
Motion to approve financial report is read.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the financial report as read. Any more discussion? Unita?
Counselor Luck?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Segala?
Aye.
Counselor Lorenz?
Aye.
Counselor Foster?
Aye.
Mayor Becker?
Aye.
Motion carries to approve the financial report.
Thank you.
Thank you, Anita.
The last one.
She'll let you substitute if you miss it.
Although she's only gonna have been here 3 days when we have our next council meeting, so this may not be my last one. I'm banking on it being my last one. I've just got two really quick things. One, PD, we had a donation, anonymous donation in the amount of $16,500 to finish the locker room for the police department, which is pretty significant. I have an idea who the anonymous donor was, but she wants to remain anonymous. So she donated, and she asked Adam's Custom. She wanted to use a local business to finish the police department locker room. So she asked Adam's Custom Renovation. It's only I think we're gonna start it here, and we'll finish it in January. But it's only gonna cost the city like around $5,000 to finish it, so which is pretty significant. But $16,500 to finish that, so that'll be good. And we're making sure, me and Gigi had this to make sure, since we now have female officers, which is great, that's gonna be universal, so the way that we're setting it up, so that it's, it's a unisex bathroom, so that, or whatever, so that's, pretty happy to get that. That'll be nice to have that, to get that locker room finished and stuff, because this got started, I think in January of 2020, and COVID, all spending stopped, which was, smart, it was smart, so it's just kind of halfway done over there, so that'll be good. The only other thing I got is there's a letter in your packet from Waste Management because I know you guys had at one point denied increase in waste management's fees, correct? But this here, I guess, was something that was entered into. Waste Management had agreed to forego any increases in 2021, but they were going to pick back up in 2022 and 2023. So if you see on the rate chart that they sent there, it's going up 3.5%. So for a single curbside container, it's going from $18.02 up to $18.65 a month. So I just wanted to make you aware of that was in there, since you guys had denied the other rate increase, but this was something that was already agreed on. But just so that you're aware of it and stuff. So other than that, that's all I've got. And like I said, my last presentation.
As the city manager.
As the city manager.
Not your last presentation.
Not my last. Well, I don't know. Maybe like you're out.
No, that's not your last presentation.
No. So any questions? Any questions? All right. Thank you.
Thank you, George.
All yours.
City clerk.
Good evening, Council. I do apologize that I don't have a written report for you in the packet this evening. Been a little bit preoccupied with a lot of other things going on, so I do apologize. The one thing that I wanted to just bring forward to Council and the public is home-based businesses. Home-based businesses must be licensed in the city. Even if you're doing a daycare, computer sales out of your home, we do request and require that they come in and get a business license for home-based business. There are a lot of different rules and regulations for home-based business, completing with signage, parking, and customers in and out of the home, and the percentage of the home that can be used for the business. So I just want to remind everybody that if you are doing home-based business, please get in contact with me so I can go over the rules and regulations with you, and that we can get you the proper licensing for that business. Other than that, I do have a couple of other new businesses that will be coming forward and be opening within the next few months. So hopefully in December I'll have a report with those new businesses for you.
So if someone's like running an Etsy shop out of their house, but they're not seeing people, how does that work?
So that's still a tax base, so they still need to have a business license for that.
Okay.
Because they have UPS trucks or some type of delivery trucks delivering stuff to them or picking stuff up from their home. So that is something that we ask for. And like I said, I do have those regulations available, and they are also online through our website.
Thank you.
Rob, you made it in time, my friend.
Barely. I didn't think I was actually going to be here tonight, so you have my report. I was at a training today in Castle Rock on ADA coordinator. Good training, a little scary as far as the new ADA rules and the different things coming up, but really a good training. Other than that, I think just to kind of save some time, you have my written report. I'll just open it up if you have any questions.
We've only got 325 pages in this packet.
Sure. It's been, I mean, other than
You know that pages?
my crews have been doing a lot of projects from the office
321
here in town, and then we've also helped over at the Memorial Park get the stones in, do the excavation for the new sign that the school district put in over at the Memorial Park, finishing up some of the outside projects like getting the parks winterized and got that all done. Just kind of some pre-winter normal maintenance things really, and like I said, a lot of, for lack of a better term, honeydews that have come up and we needed to get done, so.
So the school is the one who,
School put the sign in.
the digital display sign?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. And then, community fund put the military stones with John Glass. We assisted to make sure that the ground was level for the foundations. We set the foundations down, and then we partnered with John Glass and his crew to come in and actually set the stones. As far as the sign, we did the excavation and the rerouting of the sprinkler system so that sign could go in there. The concrete for the base is quite substantial. So it's 3 foot by 4 foot. It's huge. So, but yeah, we helped the school with that, and I think the project worked good. Just a little bit of fill material on the backside of the concrete is all that's left, and we'll get that after we get meter reads done this week.
Very good. Thank you, Rob.
All right, thank you.
IT, where'd he go?
He had to take off. Something about broken glasses and driving in the dark.
You can't see?
Well, first, I don't know if he ever could see without the glasses, but that's a different topic for another day.
Thanks, Christian.
So, first of all, thank you guys very much. I am definitely looking forward to working with you guys again for the next 3 years. At least I have no intentions of going anywhere, as much as that makes people here sad. As usual, you guys have my packet. It is, I'd say, fairly lengthy and fairly short at the same time. We've been doing a lot of little things here, especially in preparation for Gigi coming back and setting up a couple new offices for our new event manager, and just other random little things. We had to put a camera up on the front, and well, I want to say we ran wires under the building, but we've been getting lucky, and we have a contractor who's working with us through Sky High. They've pretty much done all of that, so I've managed to not have to go under the floors here, which is quite beautiful in my opinion. Other than that though, the big things that I'd like to note of, we just replaced all of the phones for the police department and public works, including a bunch of iPhones, and let me tell you, this has been the worst upgrade I've ever gone through. It is, I'm still working on problems to this day, especially with like voicemails and getting things moved over from Android to iPhone. But that being said, most people are up and it seems to be working quite okay. These phones are through FirstNet, so they do have that first responder access. If an emergency happens, they get priority. Phones tend to quit working when everyone's trying to make a call at once. So that is a good thing, and hopefully these phones have been serving you guys quite well over there. And I know I actually have a couple of your phones that I'm still working on, but it is an ongoing process and has been quite the headache. Other than that, we did fully get our new server up and running, and currently it is hosting everything that Monte Vista does. As we work on upgrading software, it kind of just took the brute force of everything. It's so far paid for itself quite well. If you guys have any questions, now is the time.
I don't have anybody else. Thank you for everything you do, though.
Of course, I will say the one thing I'm not fond of is coming up here in front of everyone. I struggle with it.
You're getting better at it.
He's getting better.
Slowly, I still try a lot. I'm working on it. All right, thank you guys.
Council, committee, city commission, and council reports. Mr. Lorenz, we'll start with you.
Oh, I think we've had enough for one night.
Victor?
I really don't have anything other than to be watchful for your neighbors. Keep an eye out. Starting to get cold. Bring your dogs in, get them some heat. Yeah, that's about it.
Mr. Foster?
Had an opportunity earlier this week with a captive audience. So I made them do some work. I broke them into groups and I said, okay, council talks a lot about economic development, doesn't do much about it. They had to come up with ideas. This is a citizen semi-focus group on economic development. That's what they said. Basically, they're broken into 3 categories. Give them a reason to stop, as is there's a large number of cars that pass through town and never stop. Give them a reason to come, events, activities, or give them a reason to move and stay. So that was the result of my focus group. That's all I got.
Well, thank you. Martha?
Well, I'm gonna start with something I hope that we don't ever talk about again. I know the numbers are going back up again. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Things got really nasty when this first started. People were fighting and fussing and calling each other names. I don't want to see us do that again. Let people do what they need to do to make themselves feel like they're taking the best care of themselves that they can. If that means getting the vaccine, let them. If that means not trusting the vaccine, hush. It's their choice. If that means wearing a mask, let them. If it means not wearing a mask, it's fine. I don't want to see our town go through what we went through when this first started. And that was friendships shattered, families separated. Let's not do that again. Let's just remember that kindness, patience is probably the best medication and the best care that we can give to each other in this community. And that's all I want to say about that. Now, we just went through this public hearing tonight. We have people with hurt feelings, buildings, blah, 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 blah. I would like to see, and I would like to see it by January if possible, an inventory of every swinging building we've got in this town that's available for sale. And I want it advertised. And then we're done. And we're not gonna have any more of this fussing and fighting over all of it. Advertise it, whatever the details, whatever it's supposed to go through. And I realize that part of the some of the buildings belong to URA. I would like to, our city, to work with URA to get those buildings out there too. So that when someone shows, what has been happening is someone shows some interest in the building, then we gotta advertise it. That's like throwing your fishing pole out, waiting for a nibble and shoving it in the water. Stop it. Let's get those buildings inventoried. Let's get them advertised. Whatever their specific details have to be covered, and let's cover them. So when someone comes forward with a proposal, we can find out. We can go ahead and deal with it. Chamber of Commerce meeting this morning, very encouraging. They are working very hard. They've got elections coming up next month, and have realized that things have gotten a little too casual, and so they're trying to get back onto the bylaws, their bylaws, get operating correctly again. Any chamber members, they're looking for nominations at this point. We formed a nominating committee this morning. So I'd like to see people in this community step up. The chamber needs some help. We need some more volunteers. They've had their share of problems. A big part of it is the STP. It's the same 3 people. Same problem that a lot of organizations have across the nation, not just in Monte Vista, everywhere. And it's historical. But they are making a very concerted effort to, like I said, get back to their own bylaws, get things back in order, and move forward and support the businesses in this town, and figure out what they can do to do that in the best way possible. So I would appreciate some support. If you know someone, if you are someone that would be willing to serve on the board, please run. You do have to be a chamber member. If you're not a chamber member, please join. And they would like to start, I think part of it was to start recognizing new businesses that are in town and trying to get the chamber and conquistadors and that little ribbon all back going the way it's supposed to go. I believe that we as the city could help them in that by when somebody gets a business permit, you know, maybe once a month, just send the chamber, or once a week, whatever's easier, send the chamber a list, here's the new businesses. So that then they can reach out to them. Can we help you? Are you gonna do a grand opening? When are you opening? What do you need? Whatever the chamber needs to do. I would like to see us, if they're going to, through all this trouble, to turn things around, I wanna give them all the help we can give them. And I'm done.
Well, the only thing I will have for you guys is December 4th is a parade of lights. Christmas in Candyland. You can get online and get your forms. They're having a house decorating, window decoration, and we'll have the tree lighting at the Full and Wider Park. Thank you. Gigi, you can be a guest speaker, seeing how you will be on board for 5 days.
I guess speaker for what?
And that, and I wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. May you be blessed with your families, and everybody be well. We will adjourn the meeting until December 2nd.